Okay, welcome back to our continuing series of several lectures on real property. One of the other ways that people can hold property is a lease. Now, a lease, you don't own anything, but you have a right to possession. And in most leases, you have a right to possession to the exclusion of anybody else, including the owner. So we have an owner of the property, normally called a landlord, and we have the person who leases the property, normally called a tenant. And there are two kinds of leases. There's a term lease. Say, for example, you lease a property for 1 year. That's a term. And then we have a lease which is periodic, okay? For example, month to month. Many people rent their apartments or houses month to month. Sometimes they rent them for a term of 1 year, and then after that term is over, it changes to month. Another type of right to property is called an easement. An easement is a right to go over somebody else's property for a particular purpose. For example, a very common easement is a driveway easement. It's an easement from the street through somebody else's property to get to your property so you can get in and out. That's an easement. Another type of easement is the easement that the sewer system has over your property to put in a sewer line so you can put your sewage down the drain, and it'll go somewhere, hopefully not in your property. But a sewer line easement is another type of easement. The same with a power company for power lines and stuff like that. But an easement is a right to go over somebody else's property for a particular purpose. And there are several kinds of easements. There's an easement by necessity, which means that you have to have that easement or your land will be landlocked and you can't get into it. Another kind of easement is a prescriptive easement. Which means that you've been using it for so long that you have a right to continue using it. For example, there's a number of different cases on getting access to a beach in California. If the public has been using this particular path for a long time, then you can use, the public has a continuing right to use that piece of property for access to the beach. Now, another kind of easement is an easement by agreement. Where you agree to have an easement over your property. A lot of times, driveway easements and power line easements are by agreement. You can have the agreement, and it's often in your deed. If you look at your deed to your house or your property, you will see oftentimes there is an attachment there that says that the power company or the sewer line has a right to use your property. Anyway, there's a number of different easements. Oh, one last easement I want to mention is implication. That is, if you sell a piece of property to somebody and you have the only well on the two pieces of property, by implication you're giving them a right to use that well. Or if you sell a piece of property and you've been using this road to get up to the other piece of property and you sell that other piece of property to somebody, then by implication, even if you don't grant them the easement in your deed, by implication they have a right to get there because that's the only way they can get there. Anyway, those are the kinds of easements, and I'm just going to briefly mention something called a profit. in this context, a profit means a right to go on somebody else's property and take something off of there to use or to sell or to do whatever you want to. A particular kind of profit is you may have a bunch of sand or gravel on